So when I play these games, before I can play a big solo adventure, I've got to create a big solo world. Alright, cool. Now, to pull this off, first things first, you're going to need to have a lot of dice. And you're going to take those dice, and you're going to throw them on the map. I know, it's really technical stuff in this video. Throwing dice. Alright, now where you put the dice, you take your pencil, and you draw around the dice. And this is going to be your world. Now, when you're drawing these out, make sure that your pencil can actually get around your dice. Because if your pencil can get around an individual dice, you got yourself an island right there, or an island chain. Now keep an eye on these numbers, because we're going to come back to them in a second. And when I say we're going to come back to them in a second, I mean we're going to come back to them right now, because those numbers represent your elevations. So 1s are going to be a nice flat plain, 6s are going to be massive up and down mountains. That's up to you in your game, how you want to interpret that. But in past games when I've done this kind of thing, a flat plain can still be elevated, kind of like a step that the Mongols used to ride their horses along. Yeah, that kind of thing. So treat your 1s and 2s as plains, your 3s and 4s as hills, and your 5s and your 6s as mountain chains. In my experience, you often find that as you draw these out and you write down your numbers, you'll find some tend to just naturally group together, and you'll end up with these nice big mountain chains running through your maps. Now, some clever people will look at this and decide, hey, look at this mountain chain. Look at the way the world works in real life. On one side, it's going to have a lot of water, and on the other side, it's not going to have a lot of water. And that's going to be how I arrange my forests. And depending on how continental shifts happen, the continent's going to be traveling this way or this way, and this is why it's going to have mountain ranges, and this will affect fertility. But I don't really worry about that, because that's a lot of thinking. I just look at the mountains and randomize it as we go. Now back to your islands. If you look at your islands, and you look at the number, treat that number as the number of islands in that island chain. So 1 might be one little island out on its own. I say little, you can still see it from the planet, so it's a pretty big island. It's not a little island, it's a sizable island, but we'll ignore that for now. If you get a 6, think of yourself as something really large, and 5 might be a long archipelago of islands. So somewhere like Japan might be a couple of individual dice, maybe a 5, 6, and a 5 in close proximity. That's become that long island chain with a few really big continents in the middle. Not continents. Japan isn't its own continent. It's part of a continent. It's unimportant. Let's move on. Alright. Continue doing that until you finish. Once you're done with your map, if you know anything about maps, it's that they lie to you. Because if you were to actually fold this into a globe, it wouldn't really fit. So if you can find a place to carve nice slices in, do that. I haven't done it for this map because I don't mind warping the integrity of space-time to make my map look a bit more simpler. But you do you. Slice in some pies into your map if you want to. Now this is a really cool map, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do all the squiggly bits and draw in the water and make it look nice and neat. You can do it however you want, but eventually you're going to need a bit more detail than this to actually play your games. So we're going to pick randomly one of these areas of the map, and this is what we're going to zoom into. And this is where, if you're using digital media, you're really going to get the benefit here, because you can just copy-paste that area, make it bigger, and start drawing over the top of it. I'm using paper because I'm trying to show you the hard way, and because I couldn't be asked using an electronic device for this. Let's go. So I'm drawing, I'm repeating the patterns from the continent. More drawing. Okay, here we go. Cool. Now the process for this is really simple. You're going to repeat what you did before. You've already got a couple of mountain chains in there probably. So take your dice, roll some more out, and this is going to give you a bit of finer detail. You might find you have a lonely mountain somewhere. You might find that an area that was mountainous, you've got it rolled a couple of 1s, and maybe this is a gap in the mountains, a mountain pass or something like that. Whatever works for you. I often find as well, like if I'm feeling in the mood, if I want to think about it too much, I can also tweak the numbers based on what's there. If I'm in a mountain chain, maybe a 3 to 6 is more mountains and a 1 to 2 is a plain. So I get rid of the hills. You do you. This is your map. You do what you want. You do what you want. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And you'll find as well that some of your dice are going to land in the water. Now it's up to you what you want to do with that. You could make it something really cool, like an underwater, I don't know, coral reef or something fun like that. I'll add a few of my own. What I tend to do with it is treat it the same way as the islands, but these are actual little islands. So if I've rolled a 1 in the middle of the ocean, that is going to be a tiny island that you cannot see from the greater map. But if you were to zoom in, this will be a tiny island off the coast. And you can just fill your map with these islands, the same way you did the great big map. Now you're a little bit more fun when you zoom on a scale, because now we're going to be doing forests and rivers. Same process, you just got to take your dice and assign numbers to them. So some of these numbers might relate to, say, wetlands or swamps. Some of them might be rivers, some of them might be lakes. I usually treat rivers and lakes kind of the same and apply the same method to the islands as I do to these. So if I've got a bit of water out in the middle of nowhere, that's my lake. Probably have an estuary feeding it from somewhere, etc., etc. Now try and make these as logical as you can, so you won't have two rivers just magically split, usually. What will happen is you'll have rivers merge together, and lakes often don't just spontaneously form. They're from melt ice of mountains, so don't be afraid to add a couple of rivers to make your thing make sense. Or connect them up to the ocean. However you want. You do you. That's fine. Same with your forests. Look at the numbers, treat it as densities, etc., etc. Now, a cool thing to think about here, just while you're watching me do this in a soothing manner, is that you might want to add some special sites. Totally up to you. You can maybe just roll your dice again, and anywhere there's a 6, just mark it down and say this is somewhere special. Personally, I like to do that in games. If I'm playing a game like 5 Leagues from the Borderlands, you often create dungeons and things on your map. That'll generate my special locations that I can then use in D&D or some other game. Which hopefully, if I keep doing these videos, which I want to do, you'll see in practice. Won't that be cool? I'm sure you're very entertained and totally not clicking away. Which is probably a good time to say like and subscribe. This is my first video, but apparently that's an important thing to say in your videos if you want the algorithm not to bomb you. Beautiful. Alright, so at this point, we've got ourselves a map. But it's not a very populated map. You don't know who lives here. You could just jump in and make up on the top. You could just go in and make stuff off. You could go in and make stuff. You could go in and make stuff up. You could go in and make stuff up off the top of your head if you want to. It took me 5 takes to say that sentence. My goodness. But what I like to do with this is take my Oathmark games, or any other kind of game that gives you the ability to randomly generate cities, and use that to populate this world. So I'm going to roll some dice just to see where cities land. I'm going to take 6 dice and just roll them out, and we'll see what we get. Now I'm going to create another video to show you guys how to randomly generate Oathmark cities. I think it's a really fun thing to do, but it can be a little bit intensive, so I'm going to do that as a separate one. For now, this is our map. This is what it looks like. We've got some elves here, we've got some dwarves here, we've got a really random human city just sitting over here, and up in the north we've got some orcs. Now just to set the scene for this world a little bit more, I think what I'm going to do first is just play a game of Lichdom in it. Now full disclosure, as I'm saying this, I've already completely played that game of Lichdom, and I know exactly what happens. And I, like a fool, did not record myself doing it. And instead of retconning everything, I think in a video that I'm going to make later on, I'm just going to expound the whole story to you and maybe throw in some computer graphics just to jazz it up a little bit. I'll see if I can resist the temptation to throw in some AI art, but who knows, I might get desperate. So thanks for watching that. Hope you enjoyed my little manic video as I try to force myself to actually make these things and get some games going. Alright, see you in the future. Hopefully. We'll see. Bye bye.